Right, so I'm going to tell you all what the fuck went wrong with this band. So I guess I'll pick up from what is really like the last relevant thing we did, which is when we put out a single called Falling and Fading back in May of 2015. So this wasn't actually supposed to be a standalone single, this was actually one of two singles that were recorded at the same time, which was supposed to make a statement about where we were headed as a band, which was more melodic, more dramatic, and I guess for lack of a better term, more cinematic. For this follow-up single, I was supposed to create a lyric video and artwork to release it with, but what you'll see is a bit of an ongoing trend here, is that I was going through a bit of a personal life crisis at the time, and I wasn't really able to deliver on a lot of the things that I said I was going to do for the band. I had started a graphic design business at the time, and I had just grossly underestimated how much time client projects was going to take away from my personal ones. So this did bleed into the writing process where, for the most part, I was providing the band with finished songs in order for them to write lyrics and melodies over, and as my personal time got less and less, the amount of new material I was able to bring to the band slowly ground to zero. But the big straw that broke the camel's back is we had actually booked time to record an album over in the United States, but the plot twist here is we hadn't actually written the album yet. Side note, if you're in a band and you're booking large chunks of studio time for material that you haven't finished writing yet, don't do that. Because what this led to for us was not only this huge pressure to create this enormous body of work, but also an unnecessary amount of financial commitment. And maybe this kind of pressure works for some bands, but in our case we were just way too inexperienced to deal with this amount of pressure, and it just caused things to slowly fall apart. And with no new written material really being finished for the band, on top of this huge pressure that we'd created for ourselves, understandably a lot of our members started to lose interest in the project. On a more personal note, I was also experiencing a kind of writer's block as something that I can only really describe as like anti-inspiration, in the way that I wasn't really connecting with modern heavy music anymore, even to the point where I was kind of repulsed by the thought of heavy music for quite a while. See, like, I've made it abundantly clear how much I hate breakdowns over the years, but coming off the back of that trend, a lot of modern bands were heading down this very rhythm-focused path and stripping away a lot of the melody elements that I really enjoyed listening to. And as a result, I was finding it hard to find new bands and new music to inspire me. And this was putting me in a weird place between like wanting to honor the existing Danger Earthquake sound, but also kind of getting caught up in a nostalgia loop of wanting to go back to my roots in pop and alternative rock. And I guess with all these different pressures going on all around the place, eventually it was just too many nails in the coffin and it just ground the project to an absolute halt. Like, at this time we'd already overshot our album writing deadline, and it just left the remaining members of the project just feeling kind of confused. Like, nobody wanted to quit, but nobody really knew where to go next. Like, it may have seemed like we were still active because we were still playing shows, but to be honest, it was kind of just like random shows which we were taking on like a one-by-one basis, and yes, we were still swapping members in and out, but that was more to keep up with our live commitments. You know, we had plans to integrate people into the writing process later, but because no new material was coming into the band, there was really not anything for them to do. Like, one thing I'm personally still very aware of is that the song Falling and Fading isn't even on Spotify, and that's my bad. Like, I was not feeling great about everything that was happening, and I didn't really want to talk about it. I didn't really want to post on our socials, and I was feeling very unmotivated to do anything at all about the band, so I never even properly put the song up for digital distribution. But here we are in 2022, and as much as I should probably just let this band fade into obscurity, I've never really been able to stop thinking about all the ideas I have and all the things I wanted to do with this project. Of course, we've thought about changing the name or doing something new under a different name, but early on Danger Earthquake was actually picked as kind of like a genreless name that I could morph into different sounds over time if I wanted to. So I will just put it out there that I basically have no intention of doing the classic local band comeback thing where we like release a single and make a video clip and then like announce a big local show. Like, that's not happening. And I will be looking at the Danger Earthquake name more as a project rather than a band now. See, for me, Danger Earthquake was never really about the shows. Like, I got all of my excitement from actually writing and recording and releasing the music, And I can't speak for the other band members' experience, but from my point of view, playing shows was this like underwhelming necessity, just something that I felt like I had to do. But honestly, I would rather just be at home writing new songs than out there playing them live. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, in order for this to be something new and fresh, I'm going to be looking at this band from an entirely different perspective. I'm going to try out some of these ideas, and I'm just going to let feedback guide the project from here, without being particularly tied to anything the band has done before in the past. Now, in saying that, it's not that I'm unhappy with anything the band has done before in the past. I'm very proud of everything we did and what all the different members brought to the table, and I'm incredibly grateful for all the fans and opportunities that we received over the years. It's just, as far as this project is concerned, it's basically either time to give up or time to do something completely new, and I'm going to go with the latter for a while and see how that goes. So overall, I guess what I'm really trying to say here is big things coming soon. Alright, so maybe I clickbaited you all a little bit early on there, and, sorry to anyone that was expecting, like, some juicy gossip, but at the end of the day, like, all members of this band, like, new and old, we all still get along, and nobody really did the wrong thing by each other, so, yeah. Sorry if you were expecting something different, but we're all still good friends, hey?